Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his apostles, "No disciple is above his teacher, no slave above his master. It is enough for the disciple that he become like his teacher, for the slave that he become like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebul, how much more those of his household? Therefore, do not be afraid of them. Nothing is concealed that will not be revealed, nor secret that will not be known. What I say to you in the darkness, speak in the light. What you hear whispered, proclaim on the housetops. And do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather, be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in Gehenna. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a small coin? Yet, not one of them falls to the ground without your Father's knowledge. Even all the hairs of your head are counted. So, do not be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows. Everyone who acknowledges me before others, I will acknowledge before my heavenly Father. But whoever denies me before others, I will deny before my heavenly Father." The Gospel of the Lord. Beloved brothers and sisters, at a point in the gospel, we encountered where Jesus had to say, "You are worth more than many sparrows. Do not be afraid." I was reading the biography of Saint Francis of Assisi and Saint Clare. We are so blessed to be under the patronage of Saint Clare, to whom this church is named after. And one of the things we know about Saint Francis is his closeness to nature. And that is why I said we are blessed, because even our church seems to be situated in the midst of nature. If you walk around the church, you see the flowers. If you walk around, you see the plants, even in the church here, decorated with plants and flowers. So it is also depicting that aspect of closeness to nature, to which Saint Francis is known, and of course the closest ally to Saint Francis is Saint Clare. So on one of the occasions, Saint Francis was moving along the way, and due to his closeness to nature, even birds were friendly to him. And the birds almost like gathered along the way where he was moving. And he began to minister to the birds, began to preach to the birds, reminding the birds of how lucky they are to have the wings given to them by the Creator, to have their bodies covered with the feathers, to have the freedom of the air, to be able to fly without restrictions. They neither sow, they neither plant, they neither labor, but God feeds them. So after reminding the birds of all this providence by the providential Father and Creator, the story said that the birds were happy. They had to spread their wings, they had to open their mouths, they had to move their neck in appreciation and happiness for this great reminder from the great Saint Francis of Assisi. So most times we really need to be reminded that we are blessed. In the gospel of today, about 3 times Jesus said, "Do not be afraid." In the first instance, afraid of those who might use words to frighten you. In the second one, afraid of those who might use actions to frighten you. And in the third one, afraid of yourself because of the thoughts that might be coming your way. When we talk about fear, fear is a destroyer. It is that which comes to our thoughts, our minds, when we begin to project a negative consequence, either of the actions that we already had, or of the actions that we are going to engage in. And as a result, we are afraid, we are terrified that something negative might come later. And the psychologists have told us that one of the ways of trying to go against fears could be the power of positive thinking, having positive mind. So when you are able to develop this attitude of always having a positive mind, it will help you to a greater extent to overcome fears. And when you do, then you will be able to think correctly, to have the calmness of mind in order to engage in positive actions in your life. So Jesus said, "Do not be afraid," 3 times in the gospel we read today. And on one occasion he said, you only need to be afraid of who? The person who is capable of destroying both the body and the soul. But above that, for any other person, you do not need to be afraid, even to yourself. And what it means to be afraid of the one who is able to destroy your body and your soul is not that you have to worship God because you are afraid of him necessarily, but you worship him because you love him. Why? Because he is capable of turning your fears into hope in your life. And if we also reflect on the first reading from the prophecy of Isaiah, the vocation narrative of Isaiah, after beholding the glory of the Lord, the kavod Adonai, and seeing the angels, and seeing he who sits on the throne, and the glory filling the house, Isaiah was terrified. Why? Because he saw his weaknesses, because he saw that he is incapable, humanly speaking, to carry on with the message of the prophecy of God. But God said, no, I am still in charge. He sent his angel who came and with the charcoal of hot coal was able to purify his mouth. So most times when you are terrified by your weaknesses, most times when you are terrified by your past mistakes, most times when you are terrified by people and terrified even by yourself, do not forget that God is not absent from you. He is still present. He could still send his angels to come and minister to you, to come and help you, to come and lead you. Remember, as he said in the gospel of today, everything about you is taken care of. Even the hair on your heads are counted, and you're worth more than even the sparrows of the air. So brothers and sisters, do not be afraid.